Hello everyone and welcome back. So today we are going to be building book management app with React, and as you can see, this is a Vite project and we have this title and two tab here, ListBook and AddBook. All right, and ListBook we have the list of the book. Now we have no book available, and in AddBook we have this form. Okay, so let me showing you here, because when I click submit, the data it should be stored into the local storage. So let's go to the application and then go to local storage and then this local host, and then as you can see we have key books and the value empty array. So if I add book, for example book 1, and also the author, let's say author 1, okay, and the price, let's say $99. If I click submit, and as you can see here we have the value, okay, the ID here, and also let me showing you here, okay, we have this author, date, ID, name, and price. Okay, and also we now on the list book. Okay, and also we can edit or delete, but let's add book here. So let's say book 2, and also the author, I want to say author, let's say author 2. Also the price, let's say $43. If I click submit, we have two data here into the local storage, as you can see. And now if I click edit the book 2 here, and as you can see in the row here we have /edit and then /the ID. Okay, and as you can see we have this book name, the author, and the price. Okay, we can change this to, for example, book to edit. If I click update, now this is update. All right, pretty simple. If I click delete, and it's gonna be gone. And the technology what we are gonna use is we're gonna use React, and for generate React we are gonna use Vite, and also we are gonna use React router, and also for this ID here, okay, this random ID here, we are gonna use UUID. So that's what we are gonna be building, guys, and hope you learn a lot of things. Oh yeah, and then we are going to showing you how to create custom hooks, which is use local storage to store the data into the local storage. So when I refresh the browser, of course the data is not going to be gone because we stored the data into the local storage. Okay, hope you will learn a lot of things, and let's get started. So now let's create folder called book-management-app, and I'm going to cd into the current folder. Let's say book-management-app. Okay, and inside in here I'm going to open that into Visual Studio Code, so I can say code dot. All right, so in here let's say cancel, and in here I'm going to open a terminal, and also in here what we are going to do is I'm going to generate React app with Vite. So let's go to Vite here, and let's just copy this npm command. So I'm going to copy it and paste that in here. Okay, and also I'm going to say // to generate React application in this current folder. So let's select React and then JavaScript, and then we need to say npm install to install the dependency. All right, so it's done. Now let's initial a git here, and then let's run npm run dev to start the development server. So we have this localhost 5174, and here we go. Okay, so now let's remove a couple file that we don't need. So let's remove this asset here. I want to remove that, and also the main, just keep it like that. Go to app here, and what we need to do is let's remove everything inside this app, inside this class name app. Okay, and let's put h1, and let's say book, and I'm going to remove the use state logo. So now save, we should see books here. Okay, so first what we need to do is let's create the header. So this header here. Okay, pretty simple. So let's go to source, create the folder called components folder, and inside in here I'm going to create a file called header, let's say header.jsx. Okay, so let's generate RIFCE, And in here, I'm going to remove this div, and I'm going to use header tag. So inside this header, I'm going to put h1, and let's say book management. All right, and down here, we are going to create the navigation. Okay, it's like the final project here. We have 2 buttons. So let's go back, and this nav here, basically I'm going to create variable first up here. So let's create cons navigation set equals to array, and inside this array we have path. Okay, and the path, it should be / for the home, for the book, I mean this list book here. Okay, this is for / and then for the add book we have /add. Okay, so let's copy and paste that. Should be add. All right, and also the name of the button, let's say list book, and this one here, say name, it should be add book. Okay, and now we need to map through the navigation array inside this nav. So we can say navigation, okay, dot map. We get the individual nav here, and then I'm going to return navlink. So navlink is basically come from a React router. So we need to first install a React router. So let's say npm install react dash again router dash dom. Okay, all right, it's done. Now let's run the npm run dev again, and then we are going to use navlink in here. So let's render navlink come from react router dom. Just make sure you import up here, and then in here I'm going to close the navlink tag, and then inside this navlink I'm going to render the, let's say, nav.name. All right, and inside this navlink props I'm going to send a couple things here. So the first thing is key. I'm going to use nav.name. Okay, and also the 2 I'm going to use nav.path. Okay, so if I save and let's take a look, where's that? Right here. We don't see anything because we don't render the header inside the app here. Okay, so let's render the header. So let's do header come from component. Okay, when I save and let's take a look here. If I save, nothing showing here. Alright, so I think the problem is because we not wrap our app with browser router. So let's go to main.jsx here, and I'm going to remove the index first because we don't need that. Let's remove this, and then inside the main.jsx here we need to wrap that with browser router. So let's say browser router. Okay, we need to wrap this app with browser router like so. Alright, so now when I save, we should see the book management here and list book and also the add book. As you can see, if I click this, we under /. If I click add book, we under /add. Okay, that's work. So now let's go to app.css here, and I'm going to remove all this style. And what I'm going to do here is first I'm going to select everything. Okay, and I'm going to remove the margin and also the padding and also the box sizing. I'm going to set that to border box. Okay, and also I'm going to grab the body tag, and I'm going to set the font family into, let's say, Arial, Helvetica, Sans Serif. And also down here I'm going to, let's say, container. Okay, so let's go to app here and change this app with container. So now in here I'm going to add the maximal width into 40 rem, and also I'm going to give a background red so you can see the container. Okay, this one here. So we need to put this container into the center. So let's go back, and what we need to do is, let's say, margin. The top we are going to set that to 7 rem, left and right auto, and the bottom, let's say, 0. Okay, now that's in the center. So let's remove the background. Here we go. Nice. So now let's styling the header. So I'm going to give a comment here, header, and then first I'm going to get the header tag, and in here I'm going to say text align to center. Okay, and down here I'm going to grab the header and then nav. So let's say margin top to, let's say, to rem, and also I'm going to set the display to flex. Okay, and justify content to center, and also the gap between the nav, I'm going to set it to 1 rem. Okay, as you can see in the header here we have nav, and inside this nav we have to nav link. Okay, so and then we set the display flex, and then we set the gap here. So now we have the gap between these two nav here. Okay, cool. So down here what we need to do is let's grab the header. What is that? We grab the header and then nav, and then we grab all the button, okay, which is the link tag. So in here I'm going to remove the text decoration, which is the underline here. Let's add that to none, so it's going to be gone. Let's make it bigger so you can see, and I'm going to make it side by side. So in here I'm going to give a border, so border 1 pixel solid, and then let's say black. Okay, if I save, as you can see we have this border, and then I'm going to add padding here. So padding, let's say 0.5 rem for the top and bottom, and then 2 rem left and right. Cool. And then we are going to change the color into black here. Let's say black. Okay, and then here we are going to grab the header and the nav. Okay, and then I'm going to get the class active. We don't have yet, but I'm going to styling first. So the background, when this link here, okay, the anchor tag have a class active, I'm going to add the background to black. Okay, and also the color of the text, let's say white. Okay, let's say white. I think React Router DOM version 6 is more smart. So let's see in the inspect, and then I'm going to see. And as you can see, the class active is automatically added here. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Alright, so now let's create another components. Inside the components folder, I'm going to create AddBook. Okay, AddBook.jsx, and also I'm going to create ListBook. Alright, so in here, let's say rrfce, and also inside the AddBook here, rrfce. Okay, so now let's go back to app.jsx in here. So in here we are going to render roads. Okay, so roads is basically come from the React Router DOM. Okay, we need to wrap the road inside the roads. Okay, so inside in here we are going to render individual road, and now it should be save closing tag here, and we're going to send path. Okay, the path is /, and then the element that we are going to render here is basically the ListBook. So let's say ListBook. Okay, and also let's copy and paste. This should be /add, and the element we are going to render here is AddBook. Okay, so if I save, and as you can see we have ListBook if we on the /, and if I go to AddBook we have AddBook component here. Okay, so first let's working with the AddBook component. So let's go to AddBook. I'm going to close this. Let's remove this AddBook, and I'm going to add class name here. So let's say class name set equals to, let's say, add form. Okay, and inside this div here I'm going to render the book form. So let's create the book form component, but I'm going to put that inside the form component, inside the form folder. So inside in here let's create let's give a name book form. So let's say book form. Okay, .jsx. Okay, so let's say rfce, and we are going to render the book form inside in here. So let's say book form like that. So now we should see book form. Okay, nice. And also here I'm going to send the handle submit. Okay, set equals to handle on submit function. We don't have yet, so let's create this function, and I'm going to create with arrow function here. So let's say handle on submit set equals to arrow function. Okay, and for now I just want to, let's just say console log add, let's say new a book. Okay, nice. So now let's go back to book form here. So let's remove this div here. I'm going to use form tag, so let's say form. Okay, and let's remove the action here, we don't need that. And inside this form here, basically I'm going to render a function. So let's create the function first, and the function, it should be render, let's say render input field. Okay, and this function here is have couple property here. Okay, and the first is should be label and the placeholder and also the name of the field. Okay, so let's make it bigger. All right, so inside in here we are going to render JSX, so we don't need to use parenthesis here, just like that. And inside in here we are going to say div. Okay, inside this div we're going to add class name called input field. Okay, and inside this input field I'm going to render the label. Okay, so the label, the HTML4, I'm going to remove that, we don't need that. And in here I'm going to render the label. Okay, so let's say a label like that. So let's run the function here. Okay, and the label I'm going to set that to, let's say book name. Okay, so now we should see a book name here. Okay, label. So now down here we need to render the input field, so let's say input. Okay, the type, it should be let's say text. Okay, and the name, we're gonna set that to name. The placeholder, right, so let's say placeholder set equals to placeholder come from the props here. So let's copy and put that in here, and the name should be come from the props, let's say name. Okay, so now we should have the book name here. Okay, nice. So let's add the let's say placeholder here. So the placeholder, it should be enter name of book. Okay, and also the name of the field, I'm going to set that to name. So now let's copy this couple times, and it's just going to be the book outer. So let's say outer, and also the placeholder should be enter name of outer. Okay, and the name, it should be outer. Okay, and also this one here, it should be book price. Let's say price, enter, let's say enter price of book. Okay, enter price of book, and also the name, it should be price. Okay, now we should have three field here. Nice. So now let's add the button. So let's do button. Okay, and let's do submit for now. Here we go. And class name, I'm going to add class name. So let's say class name set equals to, let's say ptn form. All right, and the type, it should be submit. So if this button is submitted, so we need to handle first the on submit. Set equals to, let's say on submit function, we don't have yet. So let's create the function. I'm going to create up here. So const on submit set equals to arrow function here, and I'm going to run the handle submit come from this AddBook here. Okay, handle on submit, this one here. So we need to first destructuring here the props. Okay, we grab the handle submit, and then we need to run the handle submit down here. Okay, like that. So now if I click this button, now we should see console.log this one here. Okay, add new book. So let's take a look. I'm going to inspect, go to console. If I click submit, as you can see, after a couple milliseconds, we have, as you can see, we see the text, right? But if you don't want to see the reload, you can add the prevent default. So we can go back to book form here, grab the E here, and then we can say E dot prevent default, like that. Okay, so now if I save and click submit, as you can see, we have add new book. Okay, that's work pretty nice. So now let's do some styling for this form. So let's go to app.css, and in here I'm going to give a comment. So let's say add form. Okay, add form, and then here I'm going to get the form class. So let's say form. Okay, just remember inside the AddBook here we have where's that book form, we have class name form. Okay, we don't have yet, so let's add that. Class name set equals to form. So now let's go back to CSS, and in here I'm going to add some styling. So let's grab the margin first. The margin I'm going to set it to 2 rem for the top and bottom, and auto left and right. Okay, let's make it small so we can see the auto update here. Okay, like that. Okay, nice. And also I'm going to add the maximal width. Let's say maximal width into, let's say 20 rem. All right, so now let's get the input field. So let's go to book form here, and we are going to get this class name here. So let's go back and input field. Okay, and I'm going to set the display to flex, and also the flex direction. Let's say flex direction into column, because we need to put this book name up here, okay, above into the input field. And also we are going to add the gap. Okay, the gap between the label and the input, we need to set that to 0.5 rem. All right, and also I'm going to add the margin bottom. So let's say margin bottom to 1 rem. So if I save, and here we go. Okay, that's what we have. Cool. So now we need to grab the individual input here. So let's copy this, and I'm going to grab the input. Okay, so let's remove this tile, and I'm going to add the padding here. So let's say padding, top 0.5 rem, right 1 rem, and bottom 0.5 rem, and the left I'm going to set that to 0. Okay, and also I'm going to add the text indent, which is space in the left here. So I'm going to set that to, say, text indent set to 0.5 rem. Nice. So now let's styling this button here. So I want to grab the input field, and then let's say button form. I think it's not input field, but form. Okay, form button form. And then inside in here I'm going to change the background to, let's say, black, and also the border I'm gonna say border 1 pixel solid, and then black. And then the color I'm gonna change that to white. Let's say white. And also I'm gonna add the width here. So let's say width to 100%, and also the padding, let's give a 0.5 rem for the top, and left and right I'm gonna set that to 1 rem. And also the font size, I'm gonna set that to 1 rem. And also the cursor, let's set that to pointer. Okay, and also the margin top, I'm gonna set that to 1 rem. So now we need to styling the disable. So form, and then button form with disable true, just the props inside the button here. So if we have the disable, Okay, set it to true. We need to style here. So let me showing you here. If the background, I'm gonna change that to, for example, DDD. Okay, it should be changed, right? But if I remove the disable props here, should be not apply the style in this button. Okay, add the border. So let's say border 1 pixel solid, and then DDD, and also the cursor. I'm gonna set that to default. Here we go. Okay, nice. So now let's go back to book form in here, and we are going to handle the onChange event in this input field. All right, so now we are going to create state first. So let's say cons, and I'm gonna give a name book state. Okay, and also set book state. Okay, set that equals to use state. Okay, by default it should be object, and inside in here I'm gonna say name, and let's say empty string for now. Let's just copy paste couple times, and this is going to be the outer. Okay, and this is going to be the price, like that. And now in input field here, I'm going to add onChange. So let's say onChange set equals to handle change. Okay, so let's create the handle change function. I'm gonna do up here. Let's say cons handle change set equals to, we grab the event, and then in here I'm gonna say set book state. Okay, and we are going to grab the previous value, so we can say 3 dot in here and say book state. Okay, and also down here we can say e dot target dot name. Okay, we grab the name here, the name of the input here. Okay, and also we give a file, let's say e dot target dot value. Okay, and also down here in this input here, I'm going to set the value set equals to, we are going to get this book state here, and we are going to access the name. Okay, like so. So if for example price, the name here should be price, so we access the book state dot price, so it should be looking for this price here. Okay, so now if I save and if I console log the book state here, and let's take a look in the inspect, and let's see in the console here, if I typing something here, as you can see we have a. Okay, let's say book 1. Okay, we have book 1 here. Okay, the outer is empty, so let's say outer, we have outer here, price. Okay, that's working. Nice. So now let's go to the AddBook component here, and I'm going to grab the book here. Okay, because it should be book, because as you can see in book form here, we send the handle submit here. This is empty, so we need to send the book state here. So let's say book state. Instead of just send book state, we need to send ID and also the date. But for now, just say book state so you can see what I mean. So let's go back to AddBook here, and I'm going to console log the book. Okay, so let's say book right here, and let's take a look. If I go to console, and why we cannot click the submit? I think the disable here. Wait, something wrong with this button here. Yeah, this disable here, so we need to add the condition, of course, in this button. So we are going to set the disable here into, let's say disable, let's say submit. Okay, so let's create the variable, and disable submit set equals to, it should be true if the book state dot name don't have any value, and also the book state dot outer, and also book state.price. Okay, like that. So now if I save, it should be black here, the color, so we can click the button. So let me go to console here, and if I click submit, as you can see, we have the value, and this is AddBook here is going to be work. Okay, we can see the value here, and we need to also send the date, so we can do something like this. So we send all the books date, and also I'm going to send the date here. So let's say date, I'm going to use new and then new and then date here. Okay, let's add comma. Something wrong here. Yeah, this should be lowercase n, and if I click submit, so let's do random something here. If I click submit, as you can see, we have the date. Okay, we have the author, date, name, and price, and also we need to add ID here. Okay, so the ID is going to become from UUID. So first we need to install the UUID. So let's go to UUID here. Okay, just copy the comment, and I'm going to paste that in here. npm run dev. This ID here, we are going to put the UUID. Okay, so let's go back here. I forgot that, this one. Okay, we can import v4, and we change the name to UUID 4, and then we put right here. Okay, just like that. Of course, we need to run that like that. Okay, so now if I save, let's go back, and if I put random something here, okay, and if I click submit, as you can see, we have the author, date, ID, and name and price. Cool. So now what we need to do is I'm going to create context API to store our state here. Okay, so now let's go to the source, and I'm going to create a folder called context. Okay, so inside this context, I'm going to create a file called book context. Let's say book context.jsx. Okay, so in here I'm going to say rafce, and let's remove the React app here, and also down here, instead of return div, I'm going to return the book context. So first let's create up here. Okay, so I'm going to do export variable called, let's say, book context. Okay, so that goes to, should be book, not book. Book context set equals to create context come from React. Okay, and also here I'm going to change this name into the book provider. So let's remove this, and then I'm going to change that to, let's say, book provider. All right, and down here we are going to say book context dot provider. Okay, and we are going to wrap our app here inside this book context provider. So we are going to use children here. Okay, this children is basically let's say come from these props here. So let's destructuring the children. Let's say children like so, and in here I'm going to create state. Okay, let's say const, I'm going to give a name books. Okay, and set books set equals to use state. Okay, by default it should be empty. Yeah, just put empty array. And now we need to send the value here. Let's say value set equals to value. So let's create this value variable. So let's do up here. Let's say const value set equals to, and we are gonna say books set equals to books, and set books set equals to set books. Because we have same name, we don't need to use this one here. Okay, just put books and set books. So now we can use this book provider inside the app. So we need to wrap our app with book provider. So let's do in app.jsx here, and in here I'm going to wrap everything inside the book provider. Okay, come from the book context. So we need to wrap everything here. Let's do that. Here we go. So now we can access the context value in header, in ListBook and AddBook, because we wrap everything inside a book provider. Okay, so now let's go to AddBook here, and we are going to access the books come from the context. Okay, these books here and the set books as well. So let's go back here, and I'm going to say cons. I grab the books and also the set books value, set books function, and then I'm going to say use context. Okay, come from React, and also I'm going to paste the books context here. Okay, just make sure your export the variable books context here. Okay, all right, now if I console logs these books, it should be empty array. Okay, because we set this empty array here. All right, so now what we need to do is let's set the books, okay, into the book come from the form. Okay, remember this is come from the form here. All right, so I'm going to put array, and then I'm going to put the book, and then I'm going to put the previous value, which is the books here. Okay, so let's do 3 dots and then books. Okay, and after this form is submitted, after we click the submit, I need to the page back to the list book. Okay, so we can use navigate here. So let's say cons, let's say navigate, so that it goes to use navigate come from the React Router DOM. Okay, and then in here we can use that, so we can say navigate into /, just like that. Okay, so now if I just random something here. Okay, so if I click submit, now we on the list book. Okay, that's working. So let's go back to list book now, and in here we are going to access the books and the set books. Okay, just like we did it in the AddBook here. So let's just copy this, go to list book right here and paste that in here. Okay, just make sure we import the use context come from React and book context come from book context. Okay, so now here I'm going to console log, so you can see the value inside the books like that. Okay, so as you can see we have this value. So let's refresh, so you can, so we have just empty array here. So let's go back to AddBook, and in here let's do random something here. Okay, and if I click submit, as you can see we have this value, as you can see. So now let's working with the ListBook component. I'm going to close this terminal, and in here what we need to do is let's remove this ListBook, and I'm going to add class name here. Let's say class name that equals to, let's give a name ListBook. Okay, so inside this ListBook we have a condition, so I want to check if the books have a value which is .length. Okay, if that's true, I want to map through the books. Okay, remember books is basically array, as you can see here. So we can say books. Okay, I'm going to map through, and then let's grab individual book, and then in here I'm going to return, for now just return, let's say h1 for now, maybe book grid. Okay, and also else if there's no books here. So if there's no book, what we need to do is I'm going to return just b tag here. Let's say no books valuable. Okay, and let's say please add some book. Okay, so let's give a class name here, so we can styling that class name that equals to no data. Okay, so if I save, we have book grid here because now we have the books value. Okay, if I refresh, should be gone, as you can see. So now let's styling this a little bit. So let's go to the app CSS. So let's give a command ListBook. Okay, and I'm going to grab the class ListBook here, and let's give a styling margin, and margin top I'm gonna say 2 rem, left and right auto, bottom 0, And also the display, I'm gonna set that to grid. Okay, and let's put the grid template column here. So I'm gonna use repeat, so let's use autofill, and I'm gonna use min max. So the minimal is, let's say, 250 pixel, and then maximal 1 fraction. Okay, it's gonna be auto here. Here we go. All right, and the gap between the item, let's say 1 rem. And also let's styling the no data here. So I'm gonna say ListBook and then no data. Let's say no data, and I'm gonna say text align to center. And also the grid column, I'm gonna say 1 into span 3. Okay, and also the margin top, let's say 2 rem. And also the color, let's change that to 333. Okay, so if I save, it's gonna be there's network ListBook. I think it's going to be uppercase here. ListBook. Here we go. Okay, nice, cool. So if I add book here, just put random here, and as you can see, we have this book grid. All right, so now let's give a book grid. Let's go back to ListBook here, and basically I'm going to create another component, and then I'm going to return the component here. Okay, so let's give a name book.jsx for individual book. So let's say RFCE, and let's import the book in here. So let's do book like that. Okay, so now we should see book 1 here. So if I add another book, we should see book 2 book. Okay, here we go. And if I make it bigger, it should be 2 column. All right, so let's send a couple props in here. So first I'm going to send the book set equals to book, and also let's give a key here so we don't get any error in the console here. Let's say key set equals to book.id, and let's save. Let's go to book here, and let's grab the book, destructuring the props. Let's say book, and also here I'm going to destructuring the value inside the books, so we can say cons. Okay, and set that equals to book. Okay, and inside the book here, remember we have the ID, we have the name, the author, and also the price, right? Okay, so now inside this return, I'm going to remove this book. Okay, let's give a space here. It's gonna be look nice. Inside this div, let's give a class name called book, and also inside in here I'm going to put has2, and let's put the name here. Okay, the name, and also let's put another div. So it is going to be the book detail. So let's add class name book detail. Okay, and also inside in here I'm going to put p tag, and let's say author. Okay, the authors basically come from author variable. Okay, let's copy and paste that a couple times, and this is gonna be the price. Let's put the price here, and let's put the date. Okay, just save, and let's see. As you can see, now the date is going to be let's say new, then date. Okay, and we send the date here. There's the date, so let's put here date, then we put the date here, and also we are going to use function call to date string. Okay, here we go. Okay, nice. And what else? So we need to add button here. So down here, let's add the div again, and then let's give a class name. Class name set equals to buttons. Okay, inside the button here we have 2 buttons. So first is edit button. Let's say edit, and also delete. And also let's give a on click in this edit here. So let's say on click event. Then when we click the edit, I need to navigate to another page. Okay, so we can use the navigate here. So let's say cons navigate. So it equals to use navigate come from React DOM, and then we can use the navigate down here. So you can say here navigate into /edit/ the ID. So we can put the ID here. So let's say ID like that. Okay, so now save, and as you can see, we have this edit and delete button. So now if I click edit, it should be go to the /edit/ whatever the ID is. Okay, nice. All right, so now let's styling this card here a little bit. So let's go to the app CSS, and where's my app CSS? Right here. Let's add comment. Let's say card. Okay, and we are going to grab the book. Okay, the book class. Then in here, I'm going to change the background to let's say white, and also let's give a padding to 1 rem. Let's give a border radius into 5 pixel. Okay, we cannot see the background because that's white. Let's change that to something like DDD. Here we go. And also the book S2, the title here. Let's make it like this. Here we go. So the book has 2. We need to add the text decoration here to underline. Okay, here we go. Nice. And then I'm going to grab the book and then the book detail. Okay, so in here I'm gonna say line height 25 pixel. Okay, and also let's add the margin top here, margin top into 0.5 rem. Here we go. So now let's styling the button. So let's grab the books and then buttons. Okay, so here I'm gonna say margin top. Let's add 1 rem, and also the display, let's say flex, and the gap between the button, let's say 0.5 rem. Here we go. So now let's styling individual button. So let's grab that. Let's grab the book and then buttons, and then we grab the individual button tag. Okay, and then here I'm gonna say padding. Let's put 0.5 rem for the top and bottom, and also 1 rem left and right, and also the cursor, let's say pointer. Here we go. So as you can see here, it should be more than 100%. Let's zoom out. Okay, here we go. Okay, cool, right? So let's add another book here. Let's say random here, and the price. Let's submit. Now we have another card here. So if you want to put the new value into the last, you can change the into the, I remember that in AddBook maybe, yeah, this one here, you can change the position of these books. The books first you can put 3 dot here, and then the book, the new book, you can put the last. Okay, you can do that in here like that. So if you add new book, and then this is going to be the book new, and then the outer, let's say outer new, wait, new, and then the price, let's do that. And then if I submit, and as you can see, there's gonna be the last of the list here. Okay, it's depend on what you want. And let's go back to add book here, but I like to put the last into the first, the last book that we add into the first list. Okay, so now let's working with the edit page. So let's click edit. As you can see, this is just empty here. So let's go to app JSX, and in here we are going to add the path. So the path is going to be edit / the ID. Okay, so we can say edit, and then we can do colon ID, because the ID is dynamic. All right, so we can save, and of course we can create another component here. So let's create a Let's do edit form, okay, .jsx, or maybe edit book, I think. Yeah, just say edit book .jsx, okay. So here, let's say rrfce, or maybe we can just copy and paste come from the AddBook here. I think it's really similar. So let's copy, paste that in here, and we change this to EditBook, okay. So now let's go back to app here, and it's going to be EditBook. All right, so let's go to the EditBook component, and the first thing what we need to do is I'm going to get the ID here. Okay, so we can use param, so we can say cons. I grab the ID. Let's just structuring the ID here. Okay, so set that equals to use params come from React Router DOM. Okay, so what we need to do next is basically I'm going to filter these books depend on this ID. So let's say let's first back to the list book. We don't have any book here, so first let's add some book. So let's say book 1, okay, and also the outer, let's say outer 1, the price, let's say $99, and now we have, let's add another book, I think, let's say book 2 and outer 2, and also the price, let's do that. Now we have 2. All right, so now if I click edit, we have the ID, and now we need to filter these 2 object here, and then we filter depend on this ID. So let's do that here. So I'm going to create variable called, let's say book to edit, okay, set equals to books. Okay, I'm going to say dot filter. Okay, I'm going to filter this book. Okay, and then let's looking for the book ID. Okay, equals to ID come from the params. Okay, just like that. So if I save this and console log the book to edit, now we should have the book that we need to edit. All right, remember this is the ID. Okay, it's matched with this param ID here. All right, so now we need to showing the value of this author into this field, the name of the book into this field, okay, and then the price to the book price here. Okay, so now what we need to do is let's send the book form another props here. So let's say book set equals to, and then we are going to send the book to edit. All right, book to edit, and then we are going to access the first value in this array, so we can say 0, just like that. Okay, so now if I save and let's go to book form. Okay, so now we can access the book here. So let's say book like that. So now here we are going to check, okay, in this state here. So let's say if we have book, okay, if the book have a value, we need to use book dot name in here. Okay, so let's see, it should be showing the name of the book. Okay, so we do that in the outer and the price as well. So let's go to the outer. So we can say here, if the book have a value, we need to use book dot outer here. Okay, so if I save, we should see the value. Nice. And also the price, so we can just copy this and paste that in here. Here we go, it should be the price. All right, nice. And then next what we need to do is when I submit, I need to reset all the value. So in this on submit here, I'm going to say set book state into, let's just grab the name, let's put empty here, let's grab the price, not price, author first, okay, empty string, and price also empty string. And basically I'm gonna put this ID here into the on submit, okay, because I don't want to run this UUID every time we make a change in the input. All right, so let's just cut that out and put the here. Here we go. Okay, what else, what we need to do? So I think this text here, okay, if we have book, So if we have book, we need to use update, okay? But else I'm gonna use the submit. Okay, so it's gonna be update now. Wait, should be update. Here we go. And this book here should be uppercase first. So let's change that. Wait, should be book, book, and then book. Okay, everything look nice. But this update here is not working. So let's see, when we submit, we run this function, right? And then the handle submit is run. So let's go to handle submit. So let's go back to the, where's my edit book? There's a lot of tab here, so let's remove that and let's open the edit book. Okay, so this handle submit is gonna be run. And now what we need to do, let's create variable here. I'm gonna say cons, let's say filter, let's say filter book. Okay, set equals to, I'm going to filter the books. So let's say books dot filter. Okay, these books basically come from this context. So I'm gonna say filter by the ID. So let's say book dot ID is not equals to ID. Okay, so we do that here, and then down here what we need to do is set books with new value, and then filter books, basically put it here like that. All right, I think that's work. So now save, and let's go back here. So if I change the book to update, okay, if I update here, as you can see, book 2 is update now. If I want to update the one, let's say edit and then update. When I save, as you can see, book 1 is update. Okay, nice. So now let's working with the delete button here. So let's go back to the, let's go to ListBook here, and we are going to send another property in this book. So let's first create a function. So I'm going to create a function called handle, let's say remove book. Okay, set equals to our function here, and this function is tag ID. So let's grab the ID here, and for now I just want to console log the ID. And of course we need to send this function, let's say handle remove book. So let's do here handle remove book set equals to handle remove book. Okay, so let's go back to book, and we need to grab the handle remove book here, and inside this button here we need to say on click. Okay, say on click set equals to, we are going to run the function which is handle remove book, and then we are going to send the ID like that. So now if I click the delete, it should be showing the ID. Here we go. Okay, because we console log the ID here. So what we need to do here is basically I'm going to create variable called filter books. Okay, and that's going to be set equals to let's say books dot filter. Okay, and let's say book, and then I'm going to filter by ID. So book dot ID is not equals to ID. Okay, so now here let's set the books into the filtered books like that, and let's save, and let's go back here. So now if I delete, it's gonna be gone. Okay, so I can add, let's say book 3 and outer 3, and the price. We submit, we have new book here, and I can delete that. Okay, nice. The edit and the delete is work now. So now let's implement the use local storage, because now if I refresh, the data is going to be gone. Okay, so now we are going to store the data into the local storage. So let's open the local storage here. So let's create folder called hooks inside the source. I'm going to create folder, let's say hooks, and inside this hooks I'm going to create a file called useLocalStorage.jsx, And in here, I'm going to say RIFCE. So let's remove the React up here. And also I'm going to, let's create the state here. So let's say cons. Let's give a name, value, and set value. Okay. So set equals to use state. All right. And also here we need to return the value. So I'm going to say value and set value. All right. So in this state here, so I'm going to use a arrow function. Okay. And also inside in here, I'm going to use try and catch. So let's say try. And down here, I want to catch. Okay. You grab the error like that. All right. So in this use local storage, I'm going to send to property, which is key and initial value. So let's say key and then initial value. So first, I'm going to try to looking for the item into the local storage. So let's say cons local value. Okay, set it equals to, I'm going to say window dot local storage. Okay, I'm going to say get item. Okay, so get item depend on the key that we send in here. Okay, because we are going to call this use local storage into the context API here. So I'm going to do here use local storage. Okay, and then we are going to send the key. So the key is going to be books like that. And then the initial value, I'm going to send empty array. Okay, so we grab the key here. Okay, remember this is going to be book. And the initial value, let's put that into down here if we don't have the local value. So we are going to return first. Okay, if the local value, if the local value have a value, this is not null, we are going to say JSON dot parse. Okay, and local storage, not local storage but local value, but else we are going to return the initial value. Okay, and also if something wrong happen, so we need to just return the initial value like that. So down here I'm going to use effect here. So let's say use effect. Okay, use effect, and then let's run the arrow function inside in here. And also this use effect will run every time the key change. Okay, the key and also the value. All right, so inside this use effect here, I'm going to say window dot local storage, and I'm going to say get item. Okay, so get item, and then let's say key. Okay, and let's say JSON dot stringify, and we grab the value here. It's not get item, it should be set item. Okay, because when the first time the value is updated, okay, we have new value, we need to set item into the local storage with key this time here. Okay, in this case we have key books. Where is that? Right here, right? We set the item books here and give this value. Okay, these values come from this use state here. All right, so let's try that. So let's go back here, let's refresh. We have some error in the console. That's because we set the use local storage inside the use state. Okay, we don't need to use state in here, so let's remove the use state like that. Okay, so let's remove that up here as well. So if I refresh, it should be clean now. So let's add couple books. So I'm gonna do book 1, author 1, price, let's say $12. We have book 1. Let's add another book. Let's say book 2, author 2, and also the price, let's say $32. Then I'm gonna add another books. Let's say book 3, and the author, let's say author 3, and also the price, let's say $99. Okay, so now I'm going to see into the, let's see, application and then local storage. And as you can see here, we have 3 value. Okay, as you can see down here, it's pretty nice. Okay, and if I refresh, of course the data is not gonna be gone, because we get the data into the local storage here. Okay, as you can see the use date here. Okay, if we have local value, we use this local value. Okay, and then we return the value, and then we use the value into the context here. Okay, so that's working. So now if I delete, it's gonna be work. And if I edit, for example, if I edit the book 1, as you can see here, this book 1, I'm gonna change the outer to book 1, outer 1 update. Let's say update. If I click update, it's gonna be update here. Okay, nice, pretty cool. I think the application is work. The last thing is we are gonna change this title here. So let's go to index, and let's change this Vite plus React into book management app, like that. Here we go. Okay, nice. I think we're done, guys. Yeah, and hopefully you learned something new from this video, and I'm gonna see you in the very next video. See you guys, bye.